Good evening, race fans. Welcome back. It's good to see you. We are starting Season 5 of Sunday Night Skippy Racing League action here at virtual Oulton Park Circuit in England, Northwest England, as a matter of fact. Just under 2.7 mile international configuration of the circuit on a nice cool day, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, before, depending on who you're talking to. Broadcast booth is not accurate, and I'm going to get to that in just a second here. We actually had to make some changes to the race tonight. We're going to have slightly less people on the grid than you would expect to normally see. And I'll let the music finish here. It's a good song. Obviously, we're a little out of sorts here because I do not have my usual broadcast partner, Ian. Now, why, you might ask? Well, this track specifically does not allow more than 40 drivers to register for a session. For anybody who watches the league regularly, you know that 40 drivers is not going to cut it for the Sunday Night Skippy grid. So, decision was made this afternoon, where basically we're going to split the drivers into two sessions, and there was much discussion about how to do that. And basically it had to do with finishing position overall in the overall standings last season and iRating. So it was very complicated. Punched that all into the calculator, and we came out with two different race sessions. So the race that you're going to be watching here tonight is what we're calling the A session. And this is going to be the drivers who finished in the top third of the season standings last season. And I'm trying to find what you have it up here somewhere. And anybody with an I rating over 1800. And then session B, which we will be broadcasting. I want to make it very clear, this is not a split. This was not really intentional to split the field. It was a very difficult decision, and ultimately it's going to allow everybody to race instead of some people being left out because they just simply didn't hit register on the session fast enough. So session B will be anybody who finished in the bottom third of the standings and an I rating below 1400. That middle third, if you're paying attention, the middle third of finishers who kind of, based on their I rating, if they're somewhere between that 14 and 1800, and you finish in the middle third, you kind of got to choose which session you wanted to run in. Additionally, there was some discussion. Both races this evening will be scoring the exact same amount of points. So keep that in mind. The winner of the B session will get just as many championship points as the winner of the A session. So there was a little bit of strategery there for those folks who actually got to make a decision on which split to join. Now, if that's clear as mud, I hope I did a good enough job of explaining that. We will get to it. We do have 31 drivers here in the A session registered. Jonathan Dockery is the 31st, who has not set a time yet, but we are currently, as you can see, about 1 minute remaining in our qualifying. And currently Jason Bice holds the provisional pole with a 150.868. Chris Herrera not too far behind him. And let's go take a look then and see what's going on with our drivers. So this is Jason working his way around the track one last time, I do believe. Another thing that obviously we're not... Oh, there we go. He's coming up on the start-finish line there. So he will get one more lap in if he had... Oh, no, disregard. You get 4 laps, so I would think that was his last lap, if I'm not mistaken, as Edwin Vireno takes over the top spot. So, obviously we're not going to get a track tour this evening, fortunately, although let's hop on board with Walter here. He just crossed the start-finish line going into turn 1. And we can follow him along. Oops. Nope, we can't, because qualifying is finished. Well, we'll get a sense of it as the race goes on here.
All right, guys. No drivers meeting really. Just if you wreck, hold your brakes. If you need to rejoin, do it safely. Let oncoming traffic by. Don't rejoin perpendicular to the racing line. Rejoin parallel. That's it. Good luck. Good luck, guys.
All right. Well, that was easy. Congratulations to Ed. Oops. A little fast there. Congratulations to Edwin Viorino getting those pole position points, starting the season out strong. Walter Collada will start on the front-ish row alongside of him, and I will scroll the rest of the grid here so that you can get a sense, find your driver, figure out where they're starting on the grid. If you do not see your driver and you're expecting them, they are most likely in the B session. And once again, we will be broadcasting, quote unquote, after the fact with a replay file. So it will get the B session will get the same amount of love that you come to expect from the Cav Racing Network. And we will do our best to get that out as soon as possible. And I hope to have some special guests in the booth with me for that one. So keep your eyes out for the encore Sunday Night Skippy race from Bolton Park. And with that, we do appear to have most of the field grid here. I will say that I do apologize. This is going to be one of those nights, now that I don't have my typical broadcast partner. You're going to have to listen to me for the majority of it. I will, I think, do a lot of crank 'em up. I don't know if anybody's an NASCAR fan out here, but that's something they do where we just kind of, I'll shut up and we'll turn up the engine volume, and you can hear the power of those Sunday Night Skippy Formula 2000s. And still a nice large grid as the lights are out. Barney waves the green flag and the drivers are off. Walter slides in behind Edwin there, right in front of his teammate Pete. Schnell Racing, race to learn. Of course, we are not doing team championships this year. Taking a little different approach to that, and we can get into that a little bit later. But we see the field working their way on very cold tires. Keep that in mind. So all these drivers going side by side, very difficult to do on these cool slick tires. And we're going to come down here to nice little double apex turn. Where we might see a little bit. And they're able to make it through, even too wide in some places. Wheel-to-wheel action early here. Oh, and that's going to be Judah off the track. See if we can't go back and take a look at what happened to Judah here in just a little bit. As we go through the chicane, this is going to be another choke point for the drivers. Does look like everybody was able to make it through relatively cleanly. And as we come up on the completion of the first lap here, let's pull up your race information and track map. And track map. And track map. Alright, maybe not the track map. Alright, we do have another car off. Does look like actually quite a potentially a much larger wreck. Alright, well, let's get caught up here. Let's go back and see Judah Tolman going off track. And this is going through the chicane. And you can see there, just gets a nice little love tap, different braking points, able to scoot the car off the track though, and it does not look like anybody else is going to be worse for the wear. Obviously, car there, can't tell who that is, taking the time penalty, going straight through the chicane, and Judah able to make it back on. The next incident here, got Max going off track. And we will see if this has anything to do with Scott Bell's track departure. Oh, looks like there was a lot going on there. Take a look on board. This is from Gherkin Demir's on board. He sees it happening up front, but there's just nowhere to go for really anybody. The 5 car is collected. That's Scott Bell. Let's take a ride on board with his view. And you can see up there the not exactly sure what happened. We're gonna have to get on board there with the 78 to really get a sense of what was going on. That's Ruben Ray. I just don't know. Just don't know. Let's check out what Max saw. Yeah, Ruben slow. And yeah, just got a little too close, and that started the whole chain reaction. So, see everybody piling up back there, people going flying, and that is the end of that. Let's take a look. Jason Bice off as well. Was he involved in all this? It may have been something different. Oh, no, yeah, that was a different sort of contact there. Paul Beatty off track. Man, there's actually a lot of folks. We may have to come back and revisit this. That was Paul Beatty and Jason Bice touching wheels. And Paul is going to go off as well. John Trediak has crashed. Thought this was going to be a relatively quiet race, but no. Trying to stay on the inside there of turn 1, it looked like, and just unsettled the car in an attempt to not make contact. And looks like he'll get on just fine there. All right, let's bring it back alive, everybody. I apologize. There's just a lot to catch up with there, and usually we don't get a chance to because, well, there's a lot going on and a lot of cars, so. Alright, I'm going to give this a quick reload. I do apologize because the track map is not working. There we go. We'll reload the paints too. Alright, catching back up. Edward Virena, Walter Collada, Pete Broughton. No changes there in the top 3. Chris Herrera has worked his way up 3 spots in total to P4. Mike Bowers down 1 spot in P5. Carl Dronke up 6. Jeffrey Decker. It does look like Aaron Law has crashed. Work our way through the top 10 here real quick and go check out what happened to Aaron. See Peter Nodwell there in 8th, where he started. Louis Babino and Baboni, sorry, in 9th, where he started, and Justin Rubello up a spot in that yellow number 79. And let's go take a look at what happened. Aaron Law in the 901 drops a tire, gets loose. Oh, does he make contact with anybody else? He's gonna collect the 888 of Kyle Reed. Just nowhere to go. Locked up the brakes. Kyle is going to get back on. Let's see if we can't check in there with the 888. He is currently P20, started there. Get a sense. I don't see too much damage. Doesn't seem to be impacting him as he rolls through the chicane. Some great action going on back here, actually, with Judah, Kyle, and Jeff. Judah involved in that early incident. They're looking up ahead at another battle with Darwin, Don, Steve, and JR. So great racing action. And it does look like Pete Broughton is going to make the move. Oh, somebody's off. Walter Collada is off the track. Running P2. No more. What happened to Walter Collada in the 00 though? He's got his teammate Pete Mobrotten, the 515 just behind him, and gets the car loose. Looks like he's able to save it from any damage on the wall, but obviously now in a 3-spot deficit from where he started, and he's going to have to work his way back up. All right. Looks like a pass attempt coming up for that P9 position. So Rebello passes Boni for P9. Judah trying to put some space in between him and Kyle Reed. Both of them involved early and working their way back up. Let's check back in here with Carl. Donkey sitting P6. He's got Walter Collada about 0.3 seconds ahead of him. That's what 0.2 seconds looks like from the nose perspective. As they go down into Cascades, this is a nice, fun turn to take in this particular car. That low downforce, and Carl's going to get a fantastic run off the corner. Gets the preferred line, and he's through. A little further up the field, team running on empties, Chris Herrera. Up to P3, keep an eye on that gap though. Let's look at the latest lap times. Actually, let's look at it from this perspective. There we go. Chris Herrera, you can see Pete Mobron's generally been faster than Chris, at least for the last few laps. And remember, this is a 2 pit stop race. We gave this a shot the last race of the season about 2 weeks ago. And yes. Yeah, Paul, a little bit of a bad boy. That's all right. Nothing like getting into it with the one of the league admins. It's a bold strategy, my friend. But let's take a look a little further. Actually, Mike really getting on there, but a little further back, we've got a great 3-way battle. Carl. Yeah, two opportunities. So I'll tell you what, if you run on empty with 2 pit stops, now you've really earned the right to call yourself running on empty. I mean, that is beyond parody at that point. Let's see, where else are we racing good here? Let's ride on board with Walter Plata. I know we've got a lot of folks out there who like the onboard views. Actually, they're kind of pulling away. I don't know if Walter typically pretty fast, but kind of having trouble keeping up a little bit. Yes, exactly. Do not challenge me with or threaten me with a good time. That's absolutely a challenge. Here's there's photos going through Nickerbrook, I believe that was. They were just running through. That's one of Ian's favorite. I think a lot of people's favorite. As you can see, the pit strategy, here we go. This is just how last race started out. The last race of Season 4, Pete Mobron taking the early pit strategy. You can see him chilling out there. So now that pit strategy is playing out, let's bring up our lap time so people get a sense of where everybody has pit. There we go, if I can find it. There you go. He is the one and only at the moment. Keep an eye on that. See where he comes out. And I'll actually bring up on the timing tower where... There we go. I'll highlight in green there who I'm focused on so you can get a sense of where we're at. Kind of help you out there. P20, Pete Mobron. And instead of interval now, let's go to gap. You can get a sense of how far back. He's 28 seconds back from the leader now. A little further up, Jack Moffitt. The Nyan Cat, number 7. Photos is going to go on the inside through the chicane. Cheeky little maneuver there as he swings wide to try to get that angle. Nice pass with confidence there. Oh, Mike Bauer's off. Once again, looks like most contact was avoided. This is not a road, or I'm sorry, like a street circuit, so a little bit more room than the concrete walls, but that's going to put him quite a few spots back. Take one more look. What happened to the 76? Yeah, you get that tire out there in the grass, that makes it real tough, but looks like he was able to, like we said, avoid the worst of it. He will take that opportunity to pit along with quite a few other folks. So Justin Rubello, Thomas Photos, Doug Metzel, Jeff Torbeck, all in pit road that you can see there. Oh, somebody really locking it up. I don't know who that was. Nelson Addison also locking it up, getting in. These guys have really brought this down to a science. That time on pit road, you can see what a difference it makes over the course of these long runs. All right, well, let's check back in with our leader. We really haven't done that, and I apologize. Edwin Viorino out here at a 2.5 second lead over Chris Herrera. And is Chris gaining any time? I do not know. Looks like they're trading barbs for the most part. Oh, yeah, let's see. Hey, Paul, can you hear me? Oops. You probably can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Hello?
All right. I can see you going out, but I cannot hear you at the moment. So give me 1 second.
I can only hear you through my telly, so it's about 3 second delay.
Oh, you're watching there. Okay, yeah, that makes it a little difficult. But we'll try to keep you updated. I can hear you now. We're all good. Yeah. So what? Talk to me through what happened there with you in the 21 car of Jason. Oh, did I lose you?
Oh, I thoroughly deserve a bit of a sin bin for that. It was a complete mess up. So coming down that straight, I thought I had a run, and then about 3/4 of the way down, realised I didn't. Tried to ease off and just slot in behind Jason. And as I was doing that, he braked, and I just went into him. So it's totally my fault. Sorry, Jason.
All good, man. Hey, it happens. Can you hear me a little more real time now?
Excellent,
All
excellent. There
right,
you are.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, last minute changes here. But hey, thanks for joining me at any rate. And yeah, I'm sure you're, you know, everybody likes to have that one back. It happens every race, but this is a fun track. I'm sorry the evening ended um, early for you, but at the same time, your loss is our gain. Really looking forward to getting the perspective of somebody who was actually out there on the track and running with these guys as we tick down to the 18-minute mark here of our 45-minute race.
Yeah, it's quite tight up the front there. It's a good track. It's a good pressure to pass. The draft doesn't help you out too much here. It's more about getting that good exit from every corner. There are quite a lot of fast corners that you've got to get right, otherwise you start losing time. It looks like Edwin and Peter are doing a great job out front here.
Yeah, it looks like we've made our first full cycle through, and Pete once again using the pit strategy to great effect, and is able to get right there on the gearbox of Edwin.
Yeah, there's a cost later on though. Will he do enough to maintain that position? That's the thing, because he's going to have to take a bit of a longer pit later on.
Yeah, I was gonna say what now that we run the 2 pit stop strategy, we gave it a go last race, coming into full effect this season right now. Do you have a sense of what you want to do going into the race, or are you kind of a, you know, fly by the seat of your pants kind of guy?
I try and get as just many laps out of a full tank. I try not to pit early if I can help it, because you're playing a bit of a lottery. I mean, Peter's very good at it, but that short stop followed by the long stop later on, I don't know. I mean, you've got to fill one tank plus about 4 litres, so you've got that bit of leeway, so you can drop a bit on the first one and gain a bit on the second one. But I think a lot of people will be trying to just go flat out. I don't know if did they get 10 laps out of a tank? Probably not. Maybe just 9.
Yeah, it looks like they were kind of close on 9 at least, but I don't see anybody who tried to push it past that based on my stats here. So
yeah, with a bit of draft, you might be able to. Oh, it's tight getting it up any further. But that'd be Peter's now drafting Edwin, so he'll be saving a bit of fuel there. It's good tactic, that.
they've got quite a few close races throughout the field, and I'll try to keep rolling through them. Right now, we're looking at Mike Bowers and Justin Rebello, with actually a couple cars just behind them doing a pretty good job catching up. That's Doug Metzel and Peter Nodwell. You know, to your point, without the draft, you really do need to be hitting your marks. How much is do the track limits play a part here? Is it like Spa, where people generally complain about not being able to go off very far? I'm seeing a lot of I don't want to call it off tracks because words mean things, but tires going off the prepared surface, and it doesn't seem to be bothering anybody.
Yeah, it's a tricky track to keep it on track. I find this one a lot more difficult than Spa, just because there's so many corners here where when you're pushing it, there is a chance that you're going to go off track. It's not very good for safety rating and officials. But there is a point when you go off track too much, you obviously lose time. But there is a bit where, you know, it's tempting. Ordinarily, you might lift to stay on track, but there's places here where no, you just keep your foot down and take the off track. If you've already made a mess of it, you might as well keep going.
Just, yeah, try to get something out of the mess. Makes sense. Let's see, what else do we got here? I'm really drawn to this Bowers and Rebello battle going on here. They seem to be just nose to tail. I want to get a look one more time here. Actually, let's look back from Mike's perspective. If I can find it. There we go. I'm really on my A game tonight, if you can't tell. But you can really get a sense for how close you guys are racing. I mean, we're talking feet to inches, or whatever, centimeters. And
that's why I look in my mirrors as little as possible, only when I have to, because it is just intimidating. I mean, it's ridiculous. You've got a car filling your whole mirror most of the time in this situation. So, Mike's under a bit of pressure here from Justin.
Yeah, that's another great point that maybe the folks at home who don't play, because we do have friends and family that watch, and the mental fortitude that you have to not drive in what they call driving in your mirrors, and just kind of make sure you hit your lines. But there's also a matter of or an element of trust there. That the driver behind you or to the side of you is gonna do what they need to do as well. And usually people get nervous about that, and that's when they end up making mistakes themselves, and putting themselves in precarious situations. So not only are they thinking about that, but now they're thinking about, okay, well, what's my next pit stop going to be? How many more laps do I have on this tank? And yeah, what's the best strategy for my race right now? So, and while they're trying to hit their marks, and I kind of brag on you guys a lot about all that sort of stuff all the time, but I just want to really drive it home for any of the folks watching, just all the things that are going through your mind at any given moment out there on the racetrack.
Oh, there's a lot buzzing around your head, that's for sure. And I think I know myself when I'm driving. I think a few others do. You just try and block other people out and just drive your own race, focus on your own line, and you can usually tell when a car's got a decent, valid run on you, and then you have to you have to give each other space, and that's one of the good things about this league, because it at least discourages dive bombing, which is a horrible thing, which is almost what I did to Jason and ended his race. So that sucks. Um, but at least you don't have that discussion in this league as much as you do in officials, where people just go in hard late on the brakes and swing it around the corner. It is a very high risk maneuver doing something like that. So it's good that this league says, no, you can't do that. It promotes fairer racing, more focused on getting the draft or coming out of a corner better than your opponent, sizing them up for a few laps, seeing where they're weak on which corner, where you think you can get them, and plan an attack.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of folks in the public races, especially at my I rating, so I've got a relatively, I would not have been in this session, we'll just put it that way, on the roadside. The setting a pass up is just one of those things that's a little difficult to understand, because you want to go fast, and if you see a gap, you want to go for it, but there's a lot of strategy and a lot of spots to be had, and maybe even wins to be had if you get really good at methodically being able to set those passes up. And I think these races that we do are definitely long enough where that is a factor. These aren't those shorter, quote-unquote, sprint races that you'd see in other D-class racing, where things feel a little more time crunched.
Yeah, you've definitely got more time to breathe on this sort of format. It's a nice. It's still frenetic pace though. It's still very fast pace, but you don't have to. You can be a bit more patient, and sometimes in a race, you're following someone, and that opportunity just doesn't arise. You don't get the chance to go past them. That's racing sometimes. If the guy in front is on it and doesn't make a mistake, what are you going to do, really? On this track, I'd say there's there's two and a half main passing opportunities. After the first chicane, getting a good exit on that can bring you a pass before the next chicane. And really on the straight down to the final corner is the other main passing opportunity. There is one on the straight before that, but you run the risk of going two corners side by side, which is a lot slower.
Great battle here with Judah Tolman in the 222 machine. He's going to make the pass on Peter Nodwell for P12. Now Judah only down 2 spots from where he originally started, trying to work his way back up from that early contact going into the chicane. Although Peter not going down without a fight, and certainly Darwin, Romero, and Don Parks right behind them. All three very tough competitors, so he's got his hands full in that rearview mirror.
Oh, it looks like Metzel's made a move on Rebello there. Oh, Rebello's maybe had a problem. He's dropped a few.
Oh yeah, looks like he went off the track. Let's try to see the replay here. Speaking of the off tracks, Yeah, looks like he locked back end came around a little bit. He locked up the tires and it just went straight into that wall.
Yeah, it's a tough. It is a tough track. This one, every corner, you're really. Well, if you're not feeling a little bit wobbly, you're not going fast enough. And that turn that he's just come off there, it's borderline third or fourth gear, but there's a very real chance of oversteer if you get it wrong, and that's unfortunately what happened to Justin there.
He had a great run going and a great battle going there for most of the middle of the race. So yeah, it's a shame to see. Pete putting the pressure on Edwin. Not really going anywhere. Pete. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Pete will be saving an awful lot of fuel here as well, so be interesting to see what happens after the next pit stop.
Yeah, they appear to be, and I want to bring this up just so I'm not speaking out of my butt here, but lap time history. I believe they're putting some time on Chris. Yeah, some extent. So Pete setting the hot lap for the race here as well, saving fuel and putting himself in a really good spot to your point. So this is this is working out. I'm sure he would say exactly as he planned.
Well, I think both drivers want to get to the top of the table as quick as possible, don't they? So winning the first race is a nice little way to get going, have a nice feather in your cap, give yourself a bit of confidence for the next part of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Edwin kind of walking away right now with the bonus points for laps led. He's got the pole position point, so if he can pull this off, this is going to be a nice start to the season for Edwin. Although Pete is probably not too savvy to give it up that easy. So curious to see how this works out as we approach the 30-minute mark of our 45-minute race, and it's gonna be most everybody pit on looks like lap 8 or 9. This is about 7 or 8 laps since then. Obviously Pete is actually gonna follow. Oh, did they make contact there?
Oh, no. Oh.
Or did they just get loose? Let's take another look at that real quick. Right along. Maybe a little too far back. Go full speed here. Oh yeah. Edwin slowed way down. Pete, not so much. And Pete's gonna have some damage from that one. So that's another wrinkle.
Interesting there. I think Edwin, that was a smart move by Edwin there. I think he pitted before he had to, but he knew that Pete would have to pit along with him. And I think he's relying on him having a shorter pit stop because he has to put less fuel in than Peter. He's trying to break that toe away from him to stop Peter from saving all that fuel.
So I will say Edwin's still on pit road. Actually, he's getting off pit road now. I gotta think that he maybe had a speeding penalty there, and maybe that's why he had slammed on the brakes to try to get it slowed down. He knew he was coming in hot, so that's really gonna put mix this up quite a bit. The good news is I do believe we still have the one fast repair, right? So Pete, although receiving damage, was probably able to get that fixed right away because he was already on pit road.
Well, if you're going to get damaged, that's a good place to cop it.
All right, well, that's going to give Chris Herrera the lead, at least temporarily. He's going to lead the field by 7 seconds over Carl Gronke and Jeffrey Decker's. Actually, we're starting to get pretty well spread out now. Pit strategies and all that really coming into play. As Decker and Bowers, Metzel, looks like everybody's going to start coming in pit road for their second mandatory stop of the evening. And honestly,
all right, here they come.
Everybody's coming down pit road. Let's focus on that so everybody can check it out as they find their favorite driver. Keep an eye there on Chris Herrera. I will highlight him in green on the track map. I have to imagine the top 4 folks who have not pit be coming in this go, but Judo working his way back up to P4. That's a little bit of luck, but a lot of stick-to-itiveness there. I would say he didn't get rattled, because that's the other thing that can get into your head, right? You know, you have one little goofy incident at the start, and now you're behind where you wanted to be or thought you should be, and that can play a factor.
Yeah, it pays to try and keep a level head. You know, when you get that mishap and you lose, say, 5 or 10 seconds at the beginning of the race, you just have to readjust your expectations a bit. And okay, well, what can I make out of this now, instead of maybe pushing it a little bit too hard, being a bit impatient, and then not finishing at all.
Well, here comes your leader and P2, and I would imagine Louis and Judah are right behind them, but Pete O'Brien coming around the final turn now and the front stretch, so Chris is better get moving here shortly if he wants to maintain. And you can see right there, Chris on the right, Pete on the left. As Chris tries to get back up to speed, that's a very fast turn 1 there, so Chris had a little bit of a momentum disadvantage.
Wow, this is closer than I was expecting. Very close.
Yeah, when I was looking at the track map, when Chris came down pit road, I thought for sure Pete was gonna be walking away, but that does not appear to be the case.
So the gap that Chris he's about 0.8 behind. So really, he's only going to catch up to Peter on this track if he's faster. The draft isn't going to quite get him there. He needs to find his own legs a bit.
Well, Pete seems to have had the speed tonight, so we will see if Chris can dig deep and come up with something special.
It looked like Pete was having a bit of a struggle on this track, for what his pace usually is, and he's just suddenly found bags of it.
Yeah, I would never count him out. Well, keep your eye on that gap there. It's 0.6 as we are about to start lap 20 here. And ticking down inside of 9 minutes remaining. Other close races throughout the field. Let's give it a look. Steve Dewar holding on to P12, up 7 spots right now over JR Hoops.
Yeah, close little battle there. Could go anyway, this one.
Should be a fun one. These guys are both pretty consistent. Steve definitely one of the, I won't say plotter because he's very fast, but he's just going to be the guy who hits his marks. And when you look at the statistics, historically, a very safe driver, not a ton of incidents on his rap sheet there. So I would not expect JR to wait for Steve to make a mistake. He's going to have to take it.
Oh, looks like he's just showing the nose a little there, just letting him know he's around.
And Steve's gonna get a fantastic run off the chicane there.
Yeah, that's a big passing opportunity. If you get that right and the car in front doesn't, that exit, then you can get level with them by this second chicane. And really, the second chicane, you can attack or defend inside or outside. It's all really about who's got the. I was going to say something naughty there. Who's the most brave? Who executes their line the best? It's a real 50-50.
There we
No clear.
go. There we go. Well, I was checking back here with Sean Trediak, P19, and these guys were a little bit closer a second ago, but as I'm doing that, the battle for first is heating up. You can see Chris Herrera now, speaking of sticking your nose in there, right on Pete's bumper, or gearbox, I guess. Not much of a bumper.
That's a big old gap they've got over Mr. Decker there, 10, 11 seconds.
Well, yeah, and not to mention Mr. Decker and Mr. Collada. Walter Collada, after an early incident, working his way up to P4 here, and this is going to be a fun one to watch as well, as they try to determine that final spot on the podium for tonight's race. Oh my goodness. I was taking a swig of Gatorade, and you can see Jeffrey Decker gets loose. Walter gets into him. Walter missing his nose cone. Decker looks not so well, yeah. Back of his car's a little messed up, but not too worse for the wear, but that's going to shake things up. That places Mike Bowers in between those two, at least for the time being. And what happened here? Timo Broughton went off the track.
Oh.
He's nowhere to be. He's nowhere to be found. Let's see if we can. Oh no! Tell me there's contact. Ooh, we're not gonna see it with that angle. Looks like Chris got loose though and just gave him a little shot. Locking it up. Let's try it one more time. A different angle here. Yeah, Chris gets it. Dropping the wheel, blocking it up. You can see the wheel smoking, trying to hold on to it, but just ran out of room.
Just caught a little bit of grass there on the outside, I think, which started the spin. And once it was going, it was going.
That is, I'm sure, not what he was wanting, but actually I want to take one more look at that from Chris's yeah. Well, where does that leave us? Chris Herrera with a 8-second gap on Pete Broughton. Got another 4 seconds on Walter Collada. But Walter has company. And Mike Bowers in the 76 putting a move on. Bold pass. Very nicely executed.
Interesting to see what Decker's pace here is, because the worst thing about getting rear-ended is not so much the rear wing, like that can hurt you, but there's a little exhaust pipe, and if that gets bent, it affects your top speed.
Well, he seems to be holding his own for the time being. He was, I don't know exactly how far back, but he definitely wasn't this close. Walter definitely looks like he's struggling to hold on to any sort of top speeds. It's not looking like the car has it anymore. Hemorrhaging positions here. That's bad luck for the Snail Racing crew tonight, both Walter and Pete. Now, that being said, they're still sitting in second and fifth place, respectively. So
Yeah, it's not bad now. But,
right?
yeah. If I was Peter, I'd be a little bit, I don't know. Wonder what he's saying on his stream about that.
That'll be a fun one to go back and watch later for
Yeah,
sure.
I'd have to see it again, but it was almost like maybe you should redress that one a little bit, but don't know.
Yeah, the stewards are definitely going to have their hands full with 2 races to review this week instead of the normal one.
Well,
So.
I'll probably get a drive-through for my little performance. So.
Well, I think that's the important thing is one thing that we have not had an issue with in the league in a while at least is intentional stuff, and that to me is the important part. Things happen in races. It's open wheel, and it's a lot of close racing, so things are going to happen. But
I mean, it looked like a racing incident, although it wasn't Pete's fault. Chris lost it, which is just one of those things. There was definitely no intent there, and he wasn't doing anything stupid. He just, was a bit unlucky. But Pete came off definitely second best out of that exchange.
All right, we got some news here. Judah Tolman entering pit road, and Scott Dawkins as well. Thomas Photos, I'm getting word that he's just crashed. It looks like maybe just an internet issue, though.
We got some splash and dashes. People short fueled, perhaps.
And that is the risk you run sometimes to make a bold move. But, if you're already down on the race and it wasn't going how you expected, sometimes you got to make a bold move, strategy move, and see if it works out. All right, well, while we're talking here, this is going to be the final lap. This is a white flag lap, I do believe. We're coming up on 45 minutes here, and it does look like Chris is going to take home the gold. Pete Broughton in second and Mike Bowers in third. Although Jeffrey Decker.
Oh, Decker's right up with Mike there.
Indeed, that could be fun. Well, I don't know what to focus on here. We got Chris. I want to make sure that we get him taking home the victory. Congratulations. There's Pete Broughton a little bit further behind him, and just a little further back. There is Mike and Jeffrey. I don't think Jeffrey's going to have quite enough. That's all right. Another good battle there between Doug and Walter. Louis and Thomas Photos. Darwin Romero will come home P9, and Don Parks is going to be up 13 spots, taking home the 10th place. Edwin, after what is presumably the pit road speeding penalty, down 10 spots. Like he's going to be P11. Steve Dewar with a nice 7-spot gain for the evening and coming home in P12.
Yeah, still, it's all to play for, isn't it? There's a lot of fast people there that didn't go so well today, that are down the order. A couple of people there have had good result. Doug Metzel in 5th. Nice one for him. Darwin got a top 10. Pretty cool. Don Parks finishing the top 10.
Yeah, this is what they say, that this is why we run the race, why we play the game, because you just never know what's going to happen. But yeah, congratulations to Chris. I'm curious to see if who we're gonna get in the interview booth this evening. But well done by him. Overall race. Pete Broughton coming up just a little short after the contact there with Chris, but still bringing home a strong P2 finish. And Mike Bowers taking advantage of the Walter Pallotta Jeffrey Decker battle, bringing home 3rd place. And I am trying to talk and do something at the same time. I apologize. That all sounded really weird, but right. Results. There we go. Holy cow. A little rusty, guys. Are we done yet? I don't think we're done. Finished? Uh, oh, because we're not done yet. Scott Bell. I apologize, sir. Bringing it home, one lap down in P26.
There we go. Ding dong bell. Here he comes.
How is he not finished yet? Oh, there we go. I think we've gone official now. And we're going to get some more jumps. Whoa! That was a good one. Who was that behind? That was Darwin Romero, I think, had the
Excellent.
high jump record there. Nice.
Yeah, I
Very
really
good.
wish they would just let you do that in official races as well, instead of the rule they have.
Just another perk of racing in a league, right? Especially this one.
Oh, and sometimes when you haven't had a good race, you just want to smash it into a wall after the finishing line as well. It's,
Little cathartic, right? Yeah.
oh, for sure.
Very nice. Well, I think we've gone through here. Yeah, you picked out some folks that stuck out to you. Some fantastic finishes, probably some disappointing finishes from some other folks, but this is going to really set the stage. And we don't even know yet how the B main, the B split finished, and so that's really going to throw things because all those points count just the same as these ones. And I'm sure Edwin's happy that he got the pole, and I'm sure some bonus points for most laps led, um, or sorry, however we're doing it, X number of laps led, and that'll kind of stop the bleeding a little bit after the hiccup on pit road there. But that is the rest of your field, and let me look. Yeah, I don't think anybody's jumping in. So, well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you the floor if you want to. If you have any last thoughts from this race, or looking forward at the season ahead, at the schedule. I've heard people talk a lot about how excited they are for this particular season schedule for the public races, and our league. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna look up and see if I can't pull up where the finishers landed for the other race.
All right, let me just get the schedule up. Just off the top of my head, I know we're going to Sonoma next week, which we haven't raced in official for a while, and it's a layout that I haven't seen before as well. So that's going to be very interesting. Sort of a twisty track, not a lot of passing happens there. But overall, the track mix this one, I definitely prefer it to last season. Last season, I needed about 6 drop weeks. This season, I only need about 5, so I'm still in trouble. But there's a good mix there, and we've got the new one at Long Beach to finish off the season in a few months. Yeah, it's a nice mix of tracks. Nice mix.
I just did my first race. I joined an Indy Pro league with Adam Wright, actually, son of Skippy driver Adam Wright, and that track is a lot of fun. I'm not typically a street circuit kind of guy, but I will say I'm looking forward to seeing the Skippies run that track. That should be a really nice combo.
Okay, so we've got Sonoma next week, Suzuka, long track, lots of draft to play a big part there. Watkins Glen, that's just a knife fight in a phone box. Zolder's horrible. Interlagos. Oh, Mount Panorama, beautiful. Ah,
There we go.
beautiful.
There
What a
we
beautiful
go.
scene.
Oh, Lucia, got you, Paul?
Yeah, hello.
Oh, there we go. I got you now. Well, let's look at who we got. We actually do have some interviewees here. Let's start with Jeffrey Decker there. Sorry. And I'm down a screen as well, so my logistics here of of how I have everything set up is not what it once was. But overall, I think up 9 spots is a something that you can't really sneeze at. But I'm really sure that you were sniffing that podium spot, and just a little unfortunate incident that right there toward the end with Walter. But yeah, tell us what you thought about the race.
Yeah, it's a good race. I This is a lesson in time management for me. I went to go to the bathroom at the end of practice, not like a couple minutes before, so I only got 2 clean laps in. My 3rd lap was dirty, so started down the grid a little bit, but, um, yeah, things seemed a little hectic, I think, in the early laps, so I was just trying to stay clean. I was kind of, clung on to Carl for a good while there in the opening stint. But yeah, and then at the end, like, Walter and I looked like we had a good battle going. I think Pete made a mistake like a lap after we did, so we might have been able to scrap for P2. But yeah, I just tickled the grass with my rear wheel, and sadly, Walter came off worse in that situation, I think, with the damaged nose. So I shot him a little apology after.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple instances like that this evening, and it was a conversation that we were having earlier where this close racing, and we are very fortunate to be in a league where nothing really intentional ever happens. But it is racing. It's open wheel racing, and you guys do a great job of racing next to each other. And this is one of those tracks we saw a lot of dropped wheels resulting in spins. So if that makes you feel better, I don't know, but it was.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel so bad if, like, again, if like Walter didn't come off worse than I did because it was my mistake instead of his, you know.
Sure, yeah. Yeah,
But
man.
still, yeah, podium should have been possible. But I'm also super pumped for Mike Bowers to get that podium to hold on. I was right on him. I think I needed one more lap to get by him, but he held on nicely that last lap.
Yeah, tough guy to pass for sure. But yeah, man. Well, at any rate, it was a well run race, and happy to see you finish up there. And should be a good, nice, strong start to the whole season as we move forward. Just real quick, we were talking about the schedule. I saw a lot of chatter on the Discord about how excited everybody was. Do you have any dates or tracks circled on your calendar?
Sonoma is my home track, so I do like some real life racing there, and this series called 24 Hours of Lemons. But I just love it. I think it's a super fun track. I think it's going to be great racing for the Skippy. So I think Sonoma is the one I'm really looking forward to, or Sears Point, if you want to call it by its
Serious
proper
point.
name.
That's right. That's right. Very nice. All right, man. Well, yeah. Any final thoughts, and we'll let you loose.
Nah, I mean I think it's status quo. You know, Herrera and Mr. Pete Mabroden up there at the front. So we got to chase those guys down this season.
Yeah. It's tough competition, man. It's a very difficult. Um, I think it's really cool. We talk a lot about the podium because I do think getting a podium in this league specifically is a huge accomplishment. And yeah, it doesn't come easy. You need a little bit of skill and a little bit of luck, I think.
That is for sure. But as always, man, I appreciate the broadcast. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll see you later.
Later, guys.
Yeah,
Hey
this is
Chris,
Jeff.
how you doing?
Hey, Ian, how's it going?
Well, I'm coming fresh from the B series race.
I was just pulling those results up. I saw that you finished very well. Would you like to tell the viewers how you did?
Well, I found a way of increasing my heart rate and blood pressure. Let's put it that way.
All right, that's fair.
But yeah, it was a fun race. There was some very very close racing up around where I was, and the general consensus was that it was a lot of fun. Everybody enjoyed it. And we did a final sort of parade lap where everybody sort of drove around chatting to each other, which was really quite nice. So make sure you include that when you do the broadcast.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic to hear too. It was a little bit smaller field, I think, than anticipated, but still 12 drivers. You got second place by only 0.194 seconds, according to this at least. So that must have been quite an exciting battle. And actually, Peter Lee, sorry, I should start over. Carter Stickney won the race. You got P2 by 0.194, and Peter Lee not that far behind you to round out the podium. That looked like it must. I'm really looking forward to watching that replay and talking over it.
Yeah, for sure. It was quite the exciting race, and we'll figure out how we can do a bit of a broadcast talk over for that race during the week and see what we can pull together for the guys, because I think there was some amazingly good racing in there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm trying to find a. I do not want to do it alone. I know it's very tough to find time where everybody's free. But yeah, we'll do our best if it comes down to it. So I will. I don't know. I'll have like a beer or two, and then I'll make a.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
see.
get together in an evening. I know that I know it's coming up for Christmas, and I know that
Yeah, yeah.
there are you a last minute shopper?
Oh yeah, hundred
Oh boy.
percent. 100%. I plan everything else in my life, but presents is just for some reason that didn't make the list of my ability to think ahead.
Okay, so this week's probably going to be a bad week for you, then, isn't it?
I'm actually all right. I was pretty good this year, but yeah, usually I knew that last minute shopping was going to be very difficult with the public health restrictions in place, so that definitely played a factor. But
Right. Hey, listen. Enough of us doing our podcast, which we
yes.
seem to get into. Let's have a chat with who's this? Paul.
Yeah, I've been here a while, so there's no need to talk to me. I've said all.
Paul,
Oh,
yeah, Paul joined me in the booth, and he's gunning for my job. Actually, I think because
Oh,
he's a
it
bit
was
of a
my
good
natural.
stuff, mate. Good stuff.
it was my punishment for killing Jason Bice in the race.
Poor
On that
Jason.
one.
People
Yeah,
need
that
to start keeping count.
one. Off to the commentary box, Bailey. If you're not to drive the car, mate.
Ban into the commentary box.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, actually, we do have folks here. Mike Bowers had a very strong race and kind of was, at least to me, the epitome of just keeping your head down and keeping the car pointed forward, and it was able to pull out a podium, which we were just mentioning, very tough to do in this league, especially with this competition. So, Mike, talk us through the race from your perspective.
Well, I was actually going to try to leave before you interviewed me because I was kind of halfway apologizing for Chris. I kind of gave him a pretty firm. I was trying to be very assertive going to the end of the chicane early on that, hey, I don't want you passing here. So I kind of made a half move over, left him room on the bottom. But anyway, we made it through there, which was my intention. You know, I'm not typically one to rough anybody up, but I have been really good in the publics all week long, and so I was pretty excited about this race. And I made two mistakes that cost me pretty good. One early in the race, where I got a little sideways, and then I just dropped a wheel late in the race. I was just going to explain to those guys. I don't know if you noticed, changed my paint job, and I intentionally run a paint job with lines on the hood. So I'm going to give away a little secret because your field of view and everything's a little different in all these cars and you can't see that great. And I always use that as a reference, how far I can take the car to the edge of the track limits. Well, I changed that paint before the race and I thought, it'll be fine. And sure enough is what I did when I was following Chris, as I was wiggling out there to get a wider entry, and I dropped the left rear in the grass. So really
Interesting.
stupid, but yeah. I learned that a long, long time ago. I used to race the Mustangs, and I used the windshield wiper little spray nozzles on the car for a reference. But anyway, there's a little tidbit from Uncle Mike. But anyway, the race was okay. Like I said, I feel like I stole third for no good reason. I felt I should run there. I felt I had pace to be up there, and if I kept my head out, I'd be okay. And I didn't. And I was just explaining to Chris, last season I pretty good about giving way too much room to guys and all that. And I'm going to be a little more assertive
You do
this
that, right?
season and see if it pays off, because everybody's too good, and you can't be giving up positions easily, you know. And I always want to race just as fair as I can possibly race, but I also don't want to be taken advantage of. And I felt like I've gotten known for, if you get your nose in there, Michael, lift. Well, I'm not lifting so much anymore.
But I like to
Good for
hear
you.
you're actually not
Good for you.
the first person that I've heard that from. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the racing is this year. A lot of good, skilled drivers, just about done being Mr. Nice Guy, which I'm here for. I know the broadcast
Well,
will appreciate it.
and I don't think it's not being Mr. Nice Guy, but it's you know, if you want a position, you're going to have to earn it. And I'm fully, if I make a mistake, I was just telling the other guys waiting that if I make a mistake, I almost penalize myself. That's like, oh, I lost momentum. The guy gets his nose in there. I'll let him go because I'm the moron that made the mistake. And, you know, in real life, I didn't do that. You know, I raced absolutely as hard as I could every lap, but I never wrecked a single person once. And I'm going to race that same way. I'm going to race just like I did in real life and be as fair as I possibly can. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, good for you, because I mean, you are up at the front. You are challenging the leaders. It's always good to see that kind of stuff. And if you're going to be racing a little harder, I think that's just all for the best.
Yeah, it should be fun. And everybody's gotten to know each other well enough. I think we can, you know, okay, we got together and it was, you know, maybe it was my fault this time, maybe it's your fault, and we're not going to try to rip each other's head off. You know, I think we've got enough of a relationship in the league with most everybody that's racing around each other that we can go ahead and just be real, you know.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
agree more. Well, you have any final thoughts before we let you go?
Oh, I'm just going to kick myself for making stupid mistakes. I actually pulled off decent pit stops and all that, and I got to quit doing that. But I'll have to say that I'm super excited for the Winter Challenge in this next sprint car race. I'm just giddy, actually, and I've not spent a lot of time in them, but that's going to be super fun. I hope a lot more guys and gals, whomever, come out and race that because it's a kick.
Yeah, we didn't get to plug it much. I started the broadcast a little bit later, but what he's referring, our next Winter Challenge race, which will be on January 9th, will be the dirt sprint car, the 360 horsepower version of that, the winged version, if you're familiar. And that'll be at Eldora Raceway. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. Dirt oval racing, your favorite Sunday night Skippy drivers out there doing a night dirt oval race, and we have had 2 official practices so far, and it has been, like you said, an absolute blast, a hoot, and we're going to put on one hell of a show for everybody, I think.
It's gonna be good. So everybody ought to come out and run them. We've heard people say, "Man, I'm gonna spend more time in this car that have never ran it." So it's good fun. But anyway, I appreciate you guys doing what you do, and good race, good start. We'll have fun.
Awesome. Have a great night.
You too, bud. Bye.
Bye bye.
Well, we got one final interviewee. We are lucky enough to get race winner Chris Herrera. I'm not going to even set this up though. Chris, the floor is yours.
First of all, I want to apologize to Pete. I touched grass on lap 21, spun out, and unfortunately collected him. Of course, it was not malicious. It was just a little bit of, you know, trying to protect my line, got a little aggressive in terms of how wide I was going. Luckily, this wasn't like last season, and luckily he was still able to finish second place and get some points. But that wasn't how I wanted to get the win. So hopefully he understands that wasn't malicious. And but other than that, the race for me, it wasn't exciting until the end. I was a little bit frustrated after the first pit stop until I realized, okay, that's when Pete and Edwin did their shorter pit stop of the two. And then, of course, after the second pit stop, that's when I got into Pete's draft. I don't know what happened to Edwin, but that was very fortunate for me because I wasn't able to catch him. I think of the people today that had faster hot laps than I did, it was Edwin, Pete, and Carl Dronke, and occasionally even Mike Bowers. So I wasn't confident that I could catch those guys. So when I came out of the second pit stop in Pete's draft, and then Edwin was gone, at that point I had hopes of a podium finish, and of course obviously I got the win, which I'm really happy about. So it was very surprising and unfortunate, but overall fortunate for me race. And yeah, it's a great way to start the season for me, at least.
Yeah, there
Congrats, mate.
was. Yeah, I think Edwin, from what we could tell, got a speeding penalty. Actually, it looked like he had to slam on the brakes to try to avoid it, and I guess lucky for Pete, they ended up getting into each other. Pete followed Edwin onto pit road there, and luckily Pete had the fast repair remaining as well. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, there's just a lot of, I think, just getting those first race, kind of shake it out a little bit after having the week off with everybody. Like you said, we've said it multiple
Very,
times. What's that?
yeah, this track in particular is very slippery. It's not very wide, and there are a few points where you just touch one wheel on the grass, and if you're not expecting it, you're going to spin out and very likely collect the people around you.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of drop tires and bad luck, and it was yeah, I don't know. You said it very well. I think when you go back and watch, you'll see that there's going to be a lot of people feeling the exact same way. So hopefully we can all commiserate together.
Yeah, I saw a lot of smoke in the air at different points of the track. When you're up on the top of a hill and you can look around, and I remember thinking, well, there's some racing going on today.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, congratulations on the win either way. And do you have any final thoughts?
Let's see. Well, first, thank you for the congratulations, and of course, a special shout out to Running on Empty, my friends and family, and now I got some coworkers watching as well. And here's to a good season 1 of 2021, I suppose. Yeah, that's what it is. And thanks to you guys again. This is real fun.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Thanks very much. And yeah, Team Running on Empty was here in force. It was great to see. Hopefully we did it justice for all the new viewers out there. But yeah,
Awesome.
we'll see. But congratulations again. We will see you next week, and we will all be together once again.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and have a great night, guys.
Take care. Good night.
All right, race winner Chris Herrera, good guy, and I'm sure he and Pete are gonna have a little discussion after that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything because I have a somewhat tiebreaker steward role, but just based on the replays I was seeing there, it got loose, locked it up. Stuff happens, but we'll let the stewards decide all that at the end of the day, and that's all I got on that. So final thoughts for this evening. Mr. Paul Beatty, anything else you got for us? And we'll let Ian have a whirl at it.
I think we might see something similar happening next week at Sonoma, because it's I haven't seen this layout properly, but from what I remember of Sonoma, it's a pretty pressure to pass track as well. So I was quite surprised this race really split up into pockets of 2 or 3 cars quite early on. There's a few little disruptions and accidents that just split everyone up. I was expecting more of a 10-car train, so we might get that back next week with a bit of luck. But yeah, it was a good race to watch.
And Ian, any final thoughts on your race, which we're looking forward to broadcasting coming up here shortly? Like we said, I'd love to get it out before the holiday break here for most people, and so they have something maybe to show their families. And
yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a lot of discussion at the beginning about being the B team and all this kind of stuff, but mostly it was pretty tongue in cheek, I think. It was a bit of a, I mean, it was a sort of a flying by the seat of our pants kind of deal to try and make sure we could get something to work, given the constraints of this particular track and the fact that it only allows 40 cars to start, or it has limited pit boxes, and so it's going to limit the number of cars that could actually race. Having said that, it seemed to have worked quite well. People seemed to have really enjoyed having the race with, I guess, a group that was slightly more cohesive in terms of skill sets and speed. Yes, of course, I think there was a general consensus that they missed having, the likes of Paul, and I have to say your name, Paul, obviously, because you're here. But and Chris and the other boys that are always up at the front on the track with them. But all in all, I think it went very well. I think the racing was very clean. I didn't hear anybody jumping on the radio and yelling at anyone else, which was always a good thing. I haven't had a chance to review it myself, so it'll be interesting to have a look at that and see what we've got. But yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. And then coming second didn't sort of help, didn't sort of hinder, I should say.
Yeah, can't be too disappointed no matter what happened. That is the case. But either way, I'm really looking forward to watching it. Like I said, I'm just checking up on the Discord here. It seems like that seems to be the consensus is that there's a little bit of hesitation, not hesitation, but trepidation at the setup for tonight and basically splitting the field. The decision was made, this afternoon. I was explaining earlier in the broadcast, if anybody missed it, just real quick. This track limits us physically to 40 drivers, and we have more than that want to race every week. And our normal driver cap, that we impose to try to keep things at least somewhat sane. Just the normal solution for that was not tenable due to the technical limitations of the track itself. So we had the two groups, and the intent was to just make sure that everybody got a chance to race, and it wasn't dictated by when you chose to sign up. It was imperfect for sure, but I think at the end of the day we'll look back and enjoy this for the one-off race thing that it was. I think we did a forecast, and there are no other tracks that we're going to, at least this season, that are going to have that same issue. So until we come back to Olden Park Circuit, and we'll have enough time at that point to maybe come up with something a little better. But for what it was, I think it was a fine solution, and it seems like everybody walked away with a smile on their face from a race setup perspective. Maybe not from a race conclusion perspective. Well, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Gave everyone a race out on track. So yeah, it's not perfect, but what else are you going to do when you've only got 40 pit boxes? I think that's as good as it could be, really.
It's
I think you're right.
It's a good problem from a league perspective. It's a good problem to have when you have 40 pit boxes and you have more people than that want to race.
True.
That's a crazy crazy thing to be true. So I think that's it. I will have more to plug next week, and I want to focus a little bit more on the winter, not more on the winter challenge, but I'll have more details for everybody to try to advertise that and get people to come out. That's going to be a lot of fun. Heat racing on a dirt oval. I'm excited for this whole season of Sunday Night Skippy. We've got some changes that I did not get to summarize, so that's another thing that I'll focus on next broadcast to bring to all the viewers and new fans and coworkers and friends and family, and kind of just do a rundown of what the rules are, and just give you a better sense of what you're watching. I mean, obviously you're probably watching for your loved one or friend and seeing how they do, but just give you a little context of what's going on. So we'll try to do that.
People that are out there watching, for every time I hit something, they have to have a drink.
There are some SNS drinking games. We'll get you spun up on those.
Yeah.
Chris, I didn't realize you were a steward. So what I should have said to you was the standard race driver answer of, I haven't seen the replay yet. I don't know whose fault it was.
I haven't seen, exactly right. Exactly right. I love it. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, very you could go pro today. All right. All right, everybody. Well, that's all I've got for right now. It was a weird evening for everybody, I think, and fun overall. But I think we'll be happy to put this one in the record books. Keep an eye out. I will be posting it. I don't know if we're going to do it live or if I'll post a video, but I'll try to get the word out to all the drivers so that they can spread the message about our broadcast for the B split. And we'll try to make that happen sooner than later, and I'm sure it'll be just as fun, if not more fun, than this. So keep an eye out for that. on the YouTube channel. I don't care if you subscribe. I don't have anything monetized or anything like that, but it will give you updates when I post them. Other than that, have a good night, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. If we don't talk to you again, for those of you who celebrate Christmas or whatever holidays you're celebrating, a happy one to you and yours. And either way, we will see you next Sunday. Have a great night.
Yep. Merry Christmas, people. Merry Christmas.
So